Welcome to another episode of Down Under Stormtrooper. We're only a couple of days away from the release of the new Ghostbusters movie Frozen Empire, and before I head to the premiere I wanted to make one final change to the Proton Pack, and that is to install the bumper that you see in the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. So that is a new yellow thong style bumper, and the thing I like about this modification is that all I need to do is replace the existing bumper from the Phoebe pack from the Afterlife movie with a new 3D printed Proton Pack bumper. I was able to get the files for the new bumper from the QPack Proton Pack. So for those that don't know, the QPack is an open source Proton Pack that people can download and print the files themselves to make their own Proton Pack. And one of the more recent bonuses that they've included in that pack is the new bumper. So it's made up of primarily three main parts. You've got the two horizontal arms for the bumper, and then the new additional arm that goes underneath. So the modeler has developed the rails for the Afterlife pack, and that will essentially allow me to just use those rails and slide in and replace the bumper. One of the first things I want to do is just finish cleaning up some of the edges. They're very rough, so I'll remove some of the additional support mess that's still on the model. And I also want to spend a fair bit of time just cleaning up the grooves for the rails. I want to make sure that they don't go too tightly into the Afterlife pack, because I want to be able to remove it nice and easily, and I don't want to damage the existing pack by having rails that are way too tight. So yes, I want to make sure that they're nice and clean and that they slide in easily. So this little part here, I've just roughed it up so that when it's time to glue it into the piece for the thong, then yeah, the peg's nice and nice and scuffed so that it'll adhere to the glue better. What I'm going to do now is just loosely assemble the new bumper, and I want to try it on for size on the Afterlife pack. So assuming that fits okay, then I'm actually going to glue everything together, clean it all up, glue it together, then I'm going to start putting a resin coating on top of this. I'm going to be using just some CA glue. So this is just some Zap-A-Gap from my local hobby shop. This will be the same glue that I'm going to be using on the Stormtrooper as well. I'm going to give everything a wipe down with some alcohol. Austrian. So the other thing with this part is you can actually see there's still quite a gap there, but that will be covered up with the UV resin. Last night I was able to finish up the day with getting 2 coats of the putty primer on the front of the tri-bumper, and this morning I was able to get another couple of coats on the rear of the bumper. The next step now is to do some sanding with the wet sanding. So I've got 400 grit sandpaper, and then I'll go down to a 1200 grit as well. And then we can start moving on to the fun stuff, which is painting. So it's interesting, it may look a little bit scratched here, but this is incredibly smooth here. So I find this is one of the most satisfying parts of the entire process, is getting down to wet sanding. And you can really see all of your hard work paying off. So all of the effort of getting the resin in there, getting the putty primer and all that sanding really pays off now. So I don't know if I'll just hold this up close, see if I can get this in focus. So the next part of the process, I'm going to give this a really good clean, just get rid of any of that light putty dust off the bumper. And then I'm going to start putting several light coats of silver paint over the top of it. Now the reason I'm doing that is just planning ahead in terms of my weathering. So when you think about this part, in the real world it would be a manufactured piece machined out of metal. So what I want to do is firstly get some paint layers there in silver, and then what I'll be able to do is start using that for my weathering process. So I'll be putting some bits of toothpaste just around the edges wherever I think it looks like it would get knocked in the real world. You know, there might be little bits around here as well. So I'm going to be putting just some toothpaste around the obvious areas where there would be knocks. And what that will happen is when I start spraying yellow paint over the top, after I've done the yellow paint, I can then remove that toothpaste, and what you'll see underneath is the silver paint. So it's a really fun, interesting weathering technique. So now I've got 2 coats of the silver put over the tri-bumper. It's looking really good, so that's 2 coats on the bottom there and also 2 coats on the top. So my step now is to just use a bit of toothpaste and a toothpick, and I'm just going to put toothpaste around the edges where I think there would be some natural wear and tear. And that's what that's going to do, is when we do the next step and that spray the yellow paint on, it's going to prevent the paint from sticking to the actual silver. It'll create a barrier there, and then once the paint's dried we can then just wipe that off, and it'll look like natural chip marks from the yellow paint onto the original silver. So we're up to one of my favourite parts of the build now. We've got multiple coats of the safety yellow put over the bumper, and that's over the top of the silver spray paint. And now we can start stripping away the yellow where the toothpaste barrier was. So that will start to show the silver, all of our scratches and bumps that we prepared earlier. So I'm going to start taking off the masking tape around there, and also just cleaning up and removing the yellow paint from those chips. Alright, let's get started. close. Let's see how that's coming back now. It's one of my favourite techniques. So before I move on to the next stage of the weathering, which is just dirtying the bumper a little bit, I need to install the label because it would have been installed as part of the original manufacture. So I'm going to put that label on there, and then we can start dirtying this down a little bit. So I still want this to look like a fairly new part, so I'm not going to get too crazy with the weathering. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got my trusty old rag that I use for all of my weathering. If there's a bit of dirt that's on it already, I don't mind if it comes off. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of black, and I'll actually take most of it back off. I just really want the black to sort of sit into some of the grooves where the dust and the dirt would sort of collect. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time because I really want to keep this light. So I really have taken most of that back. And that's okay, that's exactly what I want, because I want this to be a fairly new part. Okay, so the clear coat has dried, so my next step now is to install the M6 screws into the screw holes here. So I'm going to just tap those first and then yeah, hand screw them in. So there we have it, the finished tri-bumper, the thong. I think it's looking really good. I like the little bit of weathering that I put on it. It's not too heavy, but I think if it was a brand new, super clean and crispy yellow bumper, it would have been too much of a stark contrast with the rest of this really dirtied Afterlife pack. So this is good for the event on Wednesday night, so I'm looking forward to seeing the new movie and meeting lots of fellow Ghostbusters fans. So as always, may those cosmic gods be with you.